So we left you with our Flappy Bird with the incredible skill of being able to sense his, could be her as well, I don't know, it's hard to tell, environment. But the problem was we looked at how you could either just stop the Flappy Bird or stop the whole thing, and it's not quite right because we've got our Flappy Bird, the game's sort of over, and it's glued like a magnet to the top of the screen. So we want to look at how we can maybe improve that and make it a little bit more realistic.
Okay, so we're going to start with taking out this stop all command, and we're just going to replace it with the move because every time the Flappy Bird hits something, we want it to
Sort of come crashing down.
coming crashing down to the ground. So we first of all we take that out and we use our glide, which we use in that one, and we can also make it 0.2 seconds. It doesn't have to be very long for our Flappy Bird to come crashing down to the floor. So we don't really want to change the X position. So as you know, we just go to the bottom here and we set the X position to be the same, whatever it was when it touched.
We always keep our X positions because basically the Flappy Bird always remains at that exact point on your screen.
Okay, and another thing we want to know where this ground is. So easy way to do it is we get our Flappy Bird and we see where.
Okay, that's where you want him to end up.
Yeah, you'll see these change. So it's about negative 32. Over
well,
here.
The Y is negative 100.
Oh, negative 100. That's it. So it's negative 100. And we also want our Flappy Bird to look like he's falling. So with the point, instead of him pointing straight.
Yeah, so he's not going to come in like he's landing like an aeroplane.
Yeah, we can have him pointing down. So now when we play, we get a little Flappy and he comes right down.
He's face planted.
Okay, so everything will carry on running and that's where the variables come in.
Okay, so at the moment, Joe, we've got our Flappy Bird, he's face planted into the floor, but Joshua took out the stop all because that wasn't really what we wanted to work either. So now we need to make our backgrounds, everything stop moving.
Yeah, so we're going to have our data and we'll make a variable called dead. So
dead.
Once we've made that variable.
There's one dead bird.
So a variable will always show up here, but you can easily take it out by clicking this tick button.
Okay, so this particular variable Josh is using he's only using it to control things. We want to be able to control the different sprites, and they want to have a look at this variable and see what the value is. We don't actually want it appearing on our screen. If it was a score variable, we would. We'll look at that later, but not this one. So you just deselect it, and it doesn't appear on the screen.
Okay, now that we've got our dead variable hidden, we can set dead in the beginning. Like always, we want to set variables to 0, or as soon as we play, we're gonna be stop all of the
everything's
sprites.
Initialized to what it should be.
So we set it to 0 in the beginning, and if it touches, we set at the end we set dead to 1, just like that. Now this is where we do some checks here. So we get you can get your backup if you've done that. We check under sensing if dead equals whatever 1.
Okay, you'll notice that Josh is now, we're not on the Flappy Bird because that's not the issue. He's coming to a grinding halt, which is fine. It's our pipes and our background needs to stop moving. So that's why Josh here is now doing this particular piece of code on the pipe.
Okay, so we've got a code on the pipe because the pipes and the background are the ones that are moving. We want these ones to all stop. So we can do that by checking if dead equals 1. So we get our operators and we go dead if dead equals 1. So you see here, all we'll do is we'll stop. We don't want to stop all. So you click on the all and you'll see gives you your drop down option and you can say stop other scripts in the sprite. So everything else except for the script, everything else like in this one.
Yeah, but that's the other script in the sprites is this one. This is one that's making the background move. So basically it's now going to check and it's going to stop that script.
This one sprite is making the poles move, and we can also put this one for the background. So by just duplicating it and putting in that one. So we just basically, if you say duplicate, you just drag it to, if we click our mouse down on Flappy Bird, it's going to put it this piece of code into Flappy Bird. If we put it into background or the state, it's going to go there.
Okay, so if you click across to each of those, now that code is sitting there as well. So that was a quick way for Joshua to put the code there. So you've got the code now sitting in that part, and you can even see you've got the code now sitting for the background. So all of those now have got a test in them. So they're all going to check if any stage, this little variable called dead is set to 1, everything is going to come to a grinding halt. So if you remember back here, this is where Joshua had set it up. Starts as 0, and that's fine, but the moment you touch something, it's going to be set to 1. As soon as it's set to 1, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to, all of these sprites are going to see it set to 1, and they're going to be stopping all of the activity that is happening in them.
Okay, and also nice thing to mention that you can do is by right-clicking on the stage, you have this, you can either add a comment which you can say whatever this piece of code does this and this piece of code does that.
And that's quite a good idea when your code gets quite complex, because you might forget. You know, as Joshua said, so you could put a comment into your code just so, you know, at the moment you're remembering why you've got it and what that little block of code is. But when you come back here tomorrow or next week or next month or next year, and the brain's not as good as it should be, you may forget. So commenting your code is something which is actually a good habit to get into.
Yeah, so you can have your little comments over there. This will make it flap, which should rather be right here, but code for it. So if we go like that, we can always know that's going to make it flap. We're going to add lots more of the lots more description in that note. And nice thing to also do is the cleanup. You got 2 options. Cleanup basically just puts everything in order. If you don't want it in order, you don't have to do this, but it makes it nice and neat and easy workspace for your code.
Because remember, as you're starting to get more and more code blocks, it can get more and more involved. As you can see, we're starting to get more and more code blocks that are coming onto our screen. So sometimes you do find that it gets a little bit hard to, or a bit messy.
Yeah, you will find it gets a bit messy. So this is those 2 things are a nice way to neaten some things up with your code. And
right, so let's see if the old, what happens with the old Flapster.
So now when we play our Flappy Bird, okay, so our Flappy Bird is facing the wrong direction. So we'll just make it wait for a little bit longer. It's obviously because we're getting more things in. We're putting weights in different places. So our Flappy Bird is going to be turning too quickly, and then it only sets this command over here afterwards. So change to 0.5. Our little Flappy Bird, we can see, is pointing the right direction. And let's see if we touch something. Our Flappy Bird is stopping.
He comes flapping onto the floor, boom, hits the dead. Looks like he's in his final throes of death, but the whole thing has come to a stop. So all the sprites and the scripts that were running on them have all come to a stop, and our Flappy Bird is now officially dead. So there you have it. And that should bring you to really, you have got a playable game now. So at this stage, you have a game that you can actually play. So get out there and do it, and we will look at how we can now take this to the next level after this and add some more advanced features to this. So get out there, finish your game, and start to impress your friends and family. Right. If you've got to this stage, you've done extremely well. You basically have a working Flappy Bird game. And recap of where we've got to, we've created backgrounds, we've created our moving pipes, we've created a Flappy Bird, we've made the Flappy Bird sense the environment, both the floor and the pipes, and we've made him die. When he hits any of these things, he comes crashing to the ground and the background all stops. Right, so that is a basic Flappy Bird game, and what we want to now do is we want to move into a few advanced features. So the nice thing about programming is you can build things up just incrementally, a little bit at a time, have fun, play. So let's look at some more interesting things. So maybe we can add a little bit of sound, and we can add score and various other things that are both fun and a little bit more advanced in some ways, and some are not that difficult at all. So let's start with something really simple. How about adding a bit of sound, because at the moment our Flappy Bird's pretty quiet.
Okay, so as you know, we've got the costume, the scripts, and the sound. They do give you the little pop sound, which it's okay. You can choose it if you want, but they've given a whole lot more sounds to choose
So
from.
there's a whole library of sounds you can basically go through here. They're divided into categories on the left
And
here.
this is all of them. And of course, you've got your upload, your record, you've got
Yeah,
plenty
so you
different
could create
options.
your own Flappy Birds.
If you want to do that, you can.
If you're a voice artist.
Yeah. So you can just look for a whole bunch of different sounds. This one's they got these little play options over here, so you can listen. This is quite a nice one for when it's flapping.
Yeah, it sounds like the sort of thing the bird will do. Boing, boing.
So I've probably never heard a bird make that sound, but it is a rather strange bird.
Yeah,
So
I could make a better bird sound.
yeah. But anyway, so we use this one. So every time we have the mouse down, we have the sound playing. So every time it does that.
Okay, so now Jotty is on the Flappy Bird, so it's obviously to do with every time that particular sprite has got its scripts being executed. So that's where we're adding the sound now, to play sound of boing.
Yeah, so basically every time your little mouse down for your Flappy Bird, it's going to do that sound. Every time we press our mouse down. Our Flappy Bird has unfortunately died, and as you can see, our Flappy Bird is getting
Okay, so immediately it adds a lot more fun to it. It suddenly seems like it's, more real. It makes it sort of like come alive.
And we can also add for when it dies. Because
Yeah, it's got to have a dying sound.
You can choose to sound like that under the library. So we'll just go to different things.
Percussion, drum.
Percussion, yeah, just find one that you like. Just play the little shaker. The thing.
He's still playing in the background.
Because we're putting our mouse down, so
Every time you click, you hear him make his little sound in the background.
we can whatever one. It's snaps okay. We can just use that. So we add that. As you can see, we've got two sounds now. So instead of we're on our Flappy Bird sprite, instead of we can turn off that sound.
Tell that stupid bird to stop flying.
Instead of when we click our mouse down, it makes a sound. It's when we die, it makes a sound. So whenever this happens, we play our sound snap.
So this is our death routine. Remember, this is checking if it's touching anything, and it's gliding to its death and setting dead to 1. So now we're also adding a sound to it.
So now when we play Flappy Bird, we try to go through all these little pipes, and eventually when we die, our Flappy Bird is going to make that sound to really instruct you that you have died.
He's telling us he died. And the reason for that is because we're in a forever loop here. So he's going around and around making that sound.
So an easy way to fix this is you just stop letting it make that sound, and we rather say we've got our little events, so we have our when start clicked, instead of
having it inside that forever.
Having it inside there, we just say this wait until, and we get that. So it's literally just going to wait until
some condition is true.
Yeah, some condition is true. So we've got our data, and as you know, we use the operators to check that. So we said if dead equals 1.
Okay, remember that's exactly what happens
So if
when he's dead.
So 1. Now you see he'll only play his little dying sound once. And now if we fly through the pipes, you can see we can go. He won't keep on playing that very
Crazy
sound. Yeah.
Okay, again, like Josh just showed you, that's the thing, experiment, so it does work by putting the dying sound in here, because it obviously makes logical sense. This is our dying sort of routine, so to speak. But then it's an irritation every time it dies, so all he did is create another little code segment over here, and little script where it's now, rather than using an if, it's waiting until some event happens. So it's another condition. So this is an if condition. This is a wait until something is true. And all he's doing is grabbing that variable that he set to dead to 1. As soon as it picks up that dead as equal to 1, it plays the sound. So there we have it. You have your Flappy Bird's got some sounds, got a little bit of life to him. So have fun, try, experiment with the sounds, and see how you can make your Flappy Bird really interesting. And we'll catch you in the next lesson where we add some more exciting features and amp up your Flappy Bird.
Okay, so we've now got our Flappy Bird going. We've got him flying through these little things, and when he dies, he flaps all the way to the bottom. And one more thing that we do need, well, not the last thing, but another main element that we do need is the score, which you all should know. It's very important to
Yeah, it brings fun to the game.
Yeah, so we can keep track of our score and
right
see
now. Let's ask them. Let's ask them. Okay, you've been watching this. You know what's going to happen. How are we going to create the score? What are we going to use? Come on, tell us. Tell us. What? What did you say? Say that. Speak up again. Yes, exactly. Well done, Susie. Where are you from? Outer Mongolia. Fantastic, Susie from Outer Mongolia. Variables. Well done. Yes, and Jake from Istanbul. No. The moon. Yes, Jake from the moon. Well done. It's variables. So Josh, show them.
Okay. As you know, variables can vary, so that's good for our scores. As we did with the count. We let in the beginning we have our little cat counting. Now we'll be counting except with our score. So we just have our score over here. We just name it score. And for this one, save it. And with dead we hided it. We hid it because we didn't want it right there for everyone to see with score. We can keep it shown and to make it nice and big, because if you double tap, you see you get a whole bunch of different you can turn our Flappy Bird off. We've got a whole bunch of different things you can do. So here we can just have a big one, we can have a slider just showing score on a small number, or just one big number.
Yeah, that should do. We know what it's a score. Flappy Bird's about simplicity. It's about the minimalist design.
So we'll just for our score we're just going to have a little backup, and we'll have our when start if and everything. We don't need the if because we're not checking anything. We're just going to change the score. So as you know, we said we have our little change score by 1, and
so the idea is that roughly, essentially, how are we going to score in this game? So it's sort of basically when he passes a poll.
Yeah. So basically, you know.
So there's two ways you could either do that. You'd either have to figure out that he's passed the poll, but that would be quite tricky because the Flappy Bird itself is actually not moving. It's the polls that are moving. So they would have to try and figure out every time the poll passed him, which is one possibility. Or another possibility is what?
We have a wait option, which we did for our other counting one, because, you know, if we start like that score is going to go a bit cray-cray. So we're
going to use it based on time then.
Yeah,
because we know these polls move past at a certain rate. I think it was at every 5 seconds. I think
every 5 seconds, and we've got 2 polls, so that's going to change it up a bit. So
roughly 2.5 seconds, and a poll's going to come past you, so that should be a point roughly.
But yeah, to start, we're just going to wait 4 seconds, because the first poll, this one only takes 4 seconds to get to you. So that's why we start with waiting at 4 seconds. Then we have our 2.5 seconds, because it's 5 seconds per poll.
Okay, so every 2.5 seconds. So it's the way we actually sort of tricking it, it's not actually passing a poll. We just know that the way the game is written, the polls are moving, and the Flappy Bird therefore should be passing a poll approximately every 2.5 seconds. So that should be a point.
So now when we start our little Flappy Bird up, we should, after we've passed the first poll,
87, 88, perfect.
That is just what we want. And obviously we need a score reset, because we've got quite a high score right now. Not sure if anyone can beat that, but let's just set score to 0.
Okay, so again, you remember that whole place up here was important. We keep talking about setting everything right at the start, setting our variables to 0, setting direction, etc. That's all important to initialize things, otherwise things are going to go a bit crazy.
Yeah, so we'll have our little score now. When we start,
he's at 0.
He's at 0, and we fly through a little fly through the polls, and we got 2. The one thing you also notice is when we hit a poll, our score keeps on counting, because
because time's still passing. So
time's
because
still
we're
passing.
using a sort of trick method here for the score, we've got to say
No,
E.
because like what we did with the other ones, we can check if it's dead. We made this variable. Now let's use it. So if you want a shortcut, we can just copy just this part by saying duplicate, and we move it to our Flappy Bird, and we get it wherever score variable. We take that out and we just put it inside. The one thing you don't want to do also with this one is with this if variable, you might get this wrong. If you ever do, just you don't want to put it outside the forever loop, because it
that would be illogical.
It needs to constantly check if this is going on.
Yeah, but otherwise that's just going to check once. So they will come in if dead equals 1.
In the beginning, it'll check it.
Yeah, it'll check it once, it'll never check it. So again, it's all about the logic. Because if you've got this outside the forever, as soon as this program starts, when it's clicked, comes in and says it's dead equal to 1. No, it's not. Okay, then it just ignores this from then on. So what Josh is saying, you've got to make that the right way around. So the forever is the one that goes on the outside of it. And then what will happen is it will constantly, as the program runs, it'll be checking the forever loop to make sure that it is whether the condition has been met or not.
Yeah, so we put that inside, and we'll see now that when we die, when we just hit the play button, when we go through our little holes, the score should, as you see, a little Flappy Bird, it doesn't count, and it is for quite an obvious reason. You might have spotted it. You'll see now it counts as soon as we die, and that's because if dead equals 1, which is basically checking if dead equals 1. So as soon as dead equals dead,
then it's changing the score.
Yeah,
again, it's logical. I mean, often these little things, these are called bugs, and they are often like, what is it? The nice thing about Scratch is your bugs are not what are called syntax errors. So it's not that you can type something wrong. Your bugs are always in the logic. And so as Josh has pointed out, the bug there was we're checking the wrong value. So dead equals 1 or dead equals 0. And so it should be
dead equals 0. So now we play our little Scratch
okay, it's back
program.
to zeros.
When we fly through our little hoops, you'll see a little Flappy Bird counts each one it flies through, and as soon as you hit the ground, it stops.
Yep. Okay, so the counter has stopped because this loop has now been invoked, and it has now stopped counting, and that is the end of our Flappy Bird. It's now on the floor, background has stopped moving, and it's looking good.
It is.
You think we could even do better?
I think we can.
I think we could even do better. So copy this, get it done, get your Flappy Bird beat down, score up, and we will show you how we can even add some more advanced features to your game. Your game's getting just better and better, and you're going to be the talk of the town, or at least of your family, or at least just of yourself. Right, Flap is back, and Flap Beak in the Floor is really coming on. It's got a score now, and we used variables to get our score. So our program is looking pretty hot at the moment. So we are looking at advanced features. So we basically have added a score, we've added sound, and what are we going to do next, Josh?
Okay, for our Flappy Bird, as I said, he begins quite quickly. Like you have to be very prepared when you start our Flappy Bird. You can do it full screen, it's a bit better. Our Flappy Bird starts very quickly, and you might not be prepared. So a nice thing to do, a nice touch-up, is to have paint a new sprite, and this is where we have a little countdown. So
so we're going to have a countdown before Flappy, so we can get all excited.
Yeah, so you might think, okay, we can draw a little line, 1, but a better way to do this is we just select and we'll take that out by backspacing that, and we use this text. So you'll see it gives a little
text box there.
Yeah, and we can just type in 1, and we make our 1 bigger by just dragging along the corner and putting it like that right in the middle. We can even get this little thingy that we showed you earlier and make it
appear in the center.
And now we create another one, new costume over there, and we can get our text back, and we say 2, and we just make it bigger again by selecting that whole area. You'll see sometimes it doesn't select it for some reason. Scratch does that. And once you've selected 2, just make it bigger and bigger. That one's a bit blurry because it did glitch in the beginning there, but that's okay. Just re-enter that. Then click back, and then our tool will be nice and clear and big once you've done that. Put that in the middle. We can use this as well. It's pretty much centered, just like that. And we can just check by going over 1, 2. Okay, we can see it can go a little bit more down, like that. And last one, create 3. We can, I'll show you what we can do later here, because we did go the wrong way round. So we go 3, and then we make that nice and big. Then in the middle, check it's in line, it's okay. We can see by just, we've selected 3, and we hold it with our mouse, and we move it onto 1's place, and we grab 2, and we move 2 onto 1, and now it's going to
yeah, because we want to have a 3, 2, 1 countdown
so
rather
you
than a
move
1,
1
2,
to
3.
2, so you're 3, 2, 1, and then it'll start. So now if we go into scripts, we've got our load data, and we've already got a variable that can control this. So you say when start, it's just gonna run through its little 3, 2, 1, so it's under looks, and you say switch to costume 3, and you wait a second. So or just go 3 to 1, like super quick. So then we go into looks, and then we switch to costume.
Okay, so we basically created our own costumes here, and we're just now cycling through them. So you can make these as fancy as you want. You could change the color. You could make it go from black to white or whatever you like. And then we'll just cycle through the costumes.
Yeah.
All right. So then what happens? How do we make it then?
So, and now that we've done that, we can also in the beginning we just want to show it, because we don't want that constantly in our screen, and then we hide it. Okay, so to do that is very easy. We'll only just, all we have to do is have a little control wait options. So we set it to 3 there, so we don't have to keep on setting it. So for like the beginning over here, we wait 3 seconds. All of these things, for most of these things, and we just do it over there. Wait 3 seconds, can do it after that.
Yeah, so that's all of the other little scripts don't start racing off, because we're going to make them also wait the 3 seconds of the countdown. So let our countdown happen, and then all of those scripts will start executing as well. So you see how you've got to think this through a little bit. It's all very well to have that little countdown script happening, but all the others are going to start going, and Flappy Bird's going to go crazy. He's going to just start flapping. You're not going to wait. So you can create the illusion of a wait by forcing all of them to wait the same amount of time.
Yeah, so we just put our wait 3 seconds into all of these things. You don't have to put in some of them, but you might as well just do it. Okay, so we've got our wait 3 seconds there. And the last of all, we'll put our wait 3 seconds over here, and this one more spot after there will be a stage. Wait 3 seconds before it starts playing there, and now we'll see when we start our project. 3, 2, 1, and we start to see. One more thing you can do with the thing, you see how I did there. It only plays 1 for like a split second, because we need to have 1 more wait, or 1 more.
Yeah, because otherwise that one's not there for the time. Okay.
So we've got our 3, 2, 1, and it starts the project from the beginning, which is very nice.
And dead. So you can see our little Flappy Bird's coming on quite nicely now. Some more advanced features. Again, it's about playing around a little bit. That's the fun part of coding. It is about making mistakes. It's learning through mistakes. It's the best way to learn. It's the best way you can learn anything. The best way you can learn to become a skier, ride a bicycle, and the best way to learn coding. The nice thing about coding is you see the results very quickly.